Hello, and welcome to our latest episode of Women Crush Wednesday, the 1Source management consulting series that focuses on women entrepreneurs. I am Tiffany Presmy, your host, and I am the founder of 1Source Management Consulting, and we are the home of Peaceful Project Management. Today, I get to talk to one of my favorite mentors, Dr. Jerry Lynn Peak. I met Dr. Peak a few years ago when we were working together on the Howard County Library project. And I have to say that she has definitely been one of the most impactful people that I have ever met. Knowing her has improved the way that I work, the way that I see myself in my work, and the way that I see my work in the overall community. And I am super, super excited to talk to her today.
Wonderful.
Hello.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's so good to see you. I did want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about 2Gems Consulting and what it is that 2Gems focuses on, because quite frankly, you talk about it better than I do.
Awesome. Well, we'll get that over with quick so there's more time for conversation. But yeah, so 2Gems Consulting Services was created in 1997 as a reaction to the end of a contract. I was working at Baltimore Healthy Start, where I had gone, ironically, in order to get pregnant with my kids who were in vitro. And I had to stop traveling. I had to stop the job I had in DC. And when my contract ended, I decided to open a consulting firm so that I could be home with the 2Gems, because we're both twin moms. And so it is named after my daughters. It is in support of my daughters and family, and it provides me the freedom to address the work that I do in a way that has integrity with what is best for humanity. So I am trained as a social demographer and a few other things, including a Virtuous Project Master Facilitator along the way and some other things. And most of the time I help people with their learning and assessment, getting a sense of where they are, what they're doing, how they could be doing it better is the great passion of my life. And it's like living in a logic puzzle all the time. I like solving them. I like making assessments that are beneficial to people, and I do them within the context. Increasingly, I understand my context has been affiliated and associated with liberatory practice, in that we don't have a lot of time. So the world we're living in it's like we live in a decaying body. Like the body of humanity is like a corpse right now, because the systems and practices we have will not get everybody to a place of thriving. They're actually designed to ensure that some people thrive based on the exploitation of others. So it's time for a new way, and I use the platform of service, helping other people see themselves more clearly, to help people think about what will take us beyond where we're supposed to be. Yeah. So
Nice.
is that good?
No, that's a wonderful answer. And you actually made me think of another
coaching, mentoring, training, facilitation, and other things too.
Yes. But you made me think of more questions to ask you, because that is like balancing business endeavors with parenting and introducing parenting. And I think in particular, introducing a set of twins into your life, like especially you don't have no other kids and now you go from 0 to 2, feels like a lot. And I know that one of the things that I'm truly grateful for is that I have my own business and that I can manage my time as I see fit, and that the majority of the work that I do is remote. But I know that, your daughters are a little older now. So when you were making that transition, it was a little bit different. Was like, how did having your own business really, like, what were some of the practical ways that it helped you as a mom?
Well, I think the first thing is that I knew I could pull it off, because when I left medical school in 1982, I'm a med school dropout. You're welcome. I certainly enjoyed dropping out of med school, wish I'd done it sooner. And when I dropped out of medical school, I started teaching dance in a community college and joined a dance company, Black women doing Middle Eastern dance. And I also started, I extended fiber arts and jewelry design activity called, at the time, Jamila Beadworks and Designs. And Jamila Designs is still around, not that anybody can tell. But I still enjoy making things, and every once in a while I sell something. And so I knew that I would be good working at home, that would be a good activity for me, that it wouldn't be challenging. And, having done that in 1982, really started it before, while I was still in San Diego. And then when I moved back to LA, I participated in juried shows. I had some shows at my home. I had trunk shows. So yeah, I knew that I could pull it off. And so when it came to 1997, and the contract that I had at Healthy Start was done, the academic researcher and a team that was leading the evaluation for Baltimore Healthy Start at the time, Pat O'Campbell, another twin mom, surrounded by twin moms. Hers are younger than mine by a year and a half. I was like, maybe I should take on the evaluation of Healthy Start and work from home and be able to handle these people who were a year old at the time. So yeah, that was it was fortuitous to have already worked independently. Also, when I was younger, I worked for my dad's planning firm. He was a draftsman, and so I would pull permits for him and things like that. So cool. I like working with myself as boss. Yeah.
Yes. And I was just thinking to myself too, like, it's good that you were able to experience it and then get your confidence level up. So when you really wanted to do it and you really kind of needed to do it, you were confident.
Yeah, it was no question.
But I will say, I think that with the whole balancing parenthood and work, if you can do remote work, I know that I personally have found that I'm a much better manager of my own time than typically another person would be, even if that person's job is to manage my time.
Yeah, that's when they really get tricky. I think when they really think their job is managing your time, as opposed to bringing out the best in a team and making sure everything is accomplished.
Yes.
Which is why we like to work for ourselves.
I mean, very much so. And it's a very interesting thing to see in the world of remote versus back to the office, and to see who is making the largest pushes for back to the office. And I'm like,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Y'all weren't good in the office either.
Right. So, I've really avoided the world of office managed work for the bulk of my career. Like, really, after a Healthy Start, the only other office job I had was at a nonprofit I co-founded in 1999. So 2 years after I founded Two Gems. And honestly, the worst job I ever had was that one, because of the distinction between wanting to work in a place where people did good work, were recognized for what was interpreted as good work. And the way I say it is, like, my colleague wanted to do good work. I wanted to work good. I wanted to do right by people, treat people well, ensure that my work was coherent with the principles and practices that would take us into focusing more and more on what would alleviate the burdens and restrictions. Okay, my nose is just itching. Why are you doing it? So take us into a place that really is looking at how can we have a society where Black people are not vilified and burdened and used as a model of extraction and oppression, marginalization. Honestly, Indigenous people, up there on top with the extermination side of that, but we certainly catch a lot of it, and we certainly have allowed people to practice behaviors that they then perfected going off into the like Pacific Islands and what have you. So yeah, those are the things that I want to focus on. And so it was ensuring that we treat everyone as humanely as possible. We look away from some of the capitalistic extraction, exploitation that happens where you have very low income people, the bottom with no power or contribution to the work, and people with much higher salaries on top. We actually didn't have that much of a distinction. So that was good. But yeah, and then the bending over backwards for whatever it is that people want who are funding your work. So even though I currently work as a for-profit, actually sole proprietorship. I'm not incorporated. Check that out. Don't do that, children. I tell everyone as a mentor, make sure you incorporate. But for me, that didn't make sense at the time. And now I'm just not gonna.
Well, okay, so you walk me into my next question, which is, what advice would you give to somebody looking to go into business for themselves?
First thing I would do is really do research to make sure that to make sure that what it is you'd like to do, you understand your market, you understand who's already doing it, you understand what you can bring to the table. I do things from a different framework, a completely different framework. I don't believe in competition because of the nature of the work that I do. I think that there are plenty of people who need to have insight into the work that they're doing. Transforming humanity needs all of us. So where's the competition? Everybody needs to get on board. If somebody ain't doing it, there's more work for someone, and they're going to have to measure it some kind of way. There's always something to do. But we live in a capitalist driven world that looks at competition, bettering one person over the other, and those kinds of things. I think that we all do better when we reject those dynamics and not take them on as personal. So particularly I think people who are marginalized and oppressed by the dominant society, but also, I mean, really, it's everyone. When we act in competition, we don't have as high quality of our work as we do when we're looking to just reach our highest good. Right? To be as excellent, as purposeful, as clear-sighted, as in fidelity with our principles, as integrous with our honor. When we work in that way, we actually bring out the best that we can. And when we're working in competition with someone, we just have to be better than them. And if they're crappy, we just have to be crappish to be better. Or we can be crappier, but better at marketing ourselves.
This is very true.
We can have a worse product, but be better at marketing yourself. I'm looking at you, VHS over Betamax. Remember those days?
I do remember the VHS versus the Betamax war.
One is better.
It was like Coke versus Pepsi. It was like Coke versus Pepsi. You were either a VHS house or you were a Betamax
That's
house.
right. And there were,
we were VHS.
Yeah. Well,
I don't even know that Betamax was good because I ain't never seen it. All I know is that they don't fit.
Yeah, and the idea of competition where we're not building collective power, we're building individual silo power. Be like, that's never going to bring us to a unified humanity who thrives.
This is true.
But if you're going into business, I'll go back to your question, research and get a sense of what it is that you're doing and where you can fill a niche. You don't have to say other people are doing it, I can't do this too. But how are they doing it? Who is doing it where? Where can I fit in? What does my take on it contribute? If everybody's making pink lemonade and a Charles strawberry lemonade, maybe yours is raspberry.
Can I bring up a piece of advice that you gave me that was really good?
Sure.
Okay,
I'd love to hear this. I learned so much when people tell me what stuck that I don't even remember.
I will tell you exactly what stuck. It was something was challenging going on in our project, and I was venting about it. And you said, it's against my religion to gossip. And when I realized that my work vent had melded into, a place where it was no longer helpful. Like the way you said that just forced me to rethink my approach completely. I had to just rethink everything about how I was looking at the situation. And one, it was a better way to look at the situation. And two, it was a lot less stressful for me, even, because, when I get bothered by something at work, it's going to bother me all day. I'm going to still be thinking about it when I'm eating my dinner. I'm going to still be thinking about it after dinner. And it's like,
wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, man. And it's like, the way that you explained that, you were like, no, gossiping is against my religion. And I said, okay, well, if I need to talk about this work thing, then I need to frame it in a way that deals with the work,
deals with the challenge, not the personality.
Exactly.
And so to me, it's like, if we're working for the betterment of humanity, that means everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you get to trash and tear down? The only reason you're trashing and tearing down people is because you want to perpetuate violence, honestly. And it's a habit. For most of us, it's a habit. Like, that's so-and-so, that dirty, rotten,
Mm-hmm.
But if you're forced to say, this doesn't match, we're trying to get to this direction, and the things that are being done, tried, said are actually destructive of our purpose. How do we get back on purpose? What do I need to do? How do I need to structure? And if I don't have the power or the leverage, when do I walk?
Mm-hmm. And that's a whole different way to approach things. Yeah. A whole different way to approach things. And I thought that
it's a Baha'i thing.
It is a Baha'i thing. I thought
we're not the only ones who don't believe in not gossiping, but we are the only ones who have it as the most great sin. You'd think it would be murder, but who gets more people murdered more than
a good gossip?
A
good gossip.
We save a lot of folks that way. And even when you look at it that way, it's really backbiting and vilifying.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that relates to racial dynamics is fraught with vilification. That person's lazy, they are dangerous, they aren't safe around your family, they aren't safe in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And all of our policies come out of what can be reduced to backbiting.
You know what I can't stand? You making me think about this right now, because I had a challenging situation earlier today, and I was like, I won't have to think about this thing differently.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But yeah, Jerry Dr. Peak has definitely helped to improve the ways that I bring my own ethics to work, to business, because I thought I was already doing it, but I didn't realize I still had so much further to go with that.
So much of our business tactics are based on confrontation and competition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so many people believe you can do anything in a work dynamic as long as you're promoting your brand and your idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to what started 2Gems was what had me return to 2Gems was that I realized that no matter how good your idea is, particularly when you're looking at founding a nonprofit, that's where good is supposed to be done, the nonprofit industrial complex.
Where's the scary music? Where's the scary music?
But really, because of the nature of the environment in which we're in, nonprofit organizations that are designed to do good are basically tasking themselves with attracting money from a different set of sources to address the issues caused by our society, and to therefore utilize the people who have been harmed in society as a source of income for people to fix society by thinking that we are the ones that need fixing. And so sometimes, in some circumstances, when you whittle it down to that, how is that different than being chattel slaves? I just ask, how is it different?
This is why I could never, once you work with Dr. Peak, you can't work the same no more.
Yeah.
You're not gonna move the same way you was moving before you met her. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, because I didn't become an entrepreneur to make money.
Mm-hmm.
I became an entrepreneur initially. Well, my first entrepreneurial activity, making pimp hats in junior high school. Crochet pimp hats, the crochet hats with the bra, had the fringe balls coming down. And they had the big floppy hats, but people were crocheting. I was sewing them in junior high.
Oh my God.
Fiber arts for life.
I was like, that's our artist popping up. That is our artist popping up.
I was not a popular girl, but you know what was popular?
The
Them pimp hats.
little pimp hats.
I didn't make a lot of them, but I sold them for Monty.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. So we live in capitalism. We have to make money to eat. It's good to know how to do it. But I think the other thing is, my daughter and I started watching this show on Netflix called Maid, MAID. This woman, she's in an abusive relationship, and she cuts and runs, but she has nothing. And then she's like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, she's stumbling around. I'm like, girl, I was crocheting pimp hats in junior high. Like, I'm gonna make some money.
Right, like sell something.
Right. So you don't have to be a pro-capitalist to understand that you have the value to create things or create circumstances where you can care for yourself and your family and fend for yourself and your family. So those are important things to be able to do.